Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. So for this video, what we're gonna do is get started with image generation using Houdini and ComfyUI. We're gonna go in ComfyUI, download an AI model, then we're gonna run it to make sure it works. Then we're gonna do the same thing in Houdini, make sure that it's all working. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so here's ComfyUI. We just installed ComfyUI, and you want to generate your first image. So if you have a fresh install, you don't have any AI models, so you cannot really generate any images. So I highly recommend you to maybe check the templates that exist here. ComfyUI has a very interesting set of templates for you to learn how to interact with diffusion models and generative AI. In our case, what we're gonna do is use the ComfyUI Manager to download AI models. So if you don't find this window here, all you gotta do is go to the Settings tab, go to Server Config, and change here at the bottom to Use Legacy Manager UI. So recently, ComfyUI updated their manager, and this is a very easy way to get access to a very interesting way of managing content in ComfyUI. So once you enable that, your session is going to restart, and then you're going to go and next time you see ComfyUI, you're going to have this custom node manager tab. So what we're going to do is go to models manager, and here we're going to look for SDXL base. And here we can use this one here. It's very cool that there's a lot of good things we can download here on using the manager. Um, you can download models, you can download custom nodes, you can download control nets. There are a whole host of different diffusion models that you can that you can have access through the manager. And what is very important is that you know what you're downloading. So I always recommend you to click here before you download. So let's just see what we're gonna download. So for this example, we're just running a model that's maybe a bit older, like 2 years old. It's a version of Stable Diffusion. It's called XL. Basically, is process the images in the 128 by 128, and then it can generate images up to 1024 pixels by 1024 pixels with some good quality. And here, a that's the model card. So you can just kind of learn and find new things about the model. It's very important that as you start this journey of working with AI models, that you get familiar on reading Hugging Face pages and model cards. Usually, you're gonna learn how the model was trained. You're gonna usually find the paper that's connected with this AI model, so you can learn more about the data that was used on the training as well. And it's also sometimes there is some sources, but also you can learn about the limitations. For example, there are some out of use, out of scope use cases. So you're not supposed to be used for factual or true representations of people or events. Um, this model is also intended for research purpose only. So it's very important that when you jump into this AI, generative AI world, that you get familiar with the restrictions, some of the limitations, and you learn how to navigate this. That's going to make your use case, that's going to allow you to have a better understanding of the model you're manipulating, but also of what you can do with that within the legal framework. So fun. uh, let's just download this model. So to download it, all you gotta do is hit the button download here. I already done it. And on your ComfyUI folder, basically on your documents, ComfyUI, you're gonna have this models folder, and it's gonna bring your model to this folder specific called, now you can see here, the SDXL. While you're downloading this guy, you can also go to console and check the progress of the download here. Very cool thing. Um, and once you're done, just restart your session so it shows up. All right, so now that you downloaded your first AI model, let's download an image that was generated using this model so we can take a look how it works. So I'm gonna go to our GitHub, and then on the GitHub we can go to our mirror board resources, and here you're gonna find the Shiba Inu image for this part of the training. So all you gotta do is find the Shibu here, and click on this guy and click download. So once you download this image, you can go back to ComfyUI. So now I'm gonna go to my download folder, and I can click and drag this Shibu Inu image here. Fun. So this is the pipeline or the network that was used to generate this image. So let's just kind of generate that one more time. Let's kind of hit run. And what it does is that it loads the model on your video card. Then it understands the prompts positive and negative for that were used to condition the AI model. Then there's a denoising step. Basically, AI models are trained to denoise an image following the prompt. And that denoising process is handled by the K-sampler. And that denoising is also done on the latent space. So that's a big breakthrough of all these technologies, is that images are not processed in pixel space. They are processed in latent space, allowing us to make edits that are much faster than working with pixel space. So once the image gets done on the pixel space, then it's time to decode or bring that image from the latent to the pixel space, and then it gets saved. And that's just a base image generation workflow in ComfyUI using Stable Diffusion XL. So let's redo this step now in Houdini using the Bridge plugin. All right, so here we are. I just created a Copernicus network. I can hit Tab, and if your installation went all right, you can just hit ComfyUI and find the compound graph. So on the compound graph, it's important that you notice that you are targeting the right address. Basically, ComfyUI runs as a server, and that server has a front end in this desktop app, but it can also have a front end on the web. And now it has a front end also in Houdini. But the way we access that, or we talk with the server, is through the address. So this is the address that we can hit. You can change that based on your requirements and your needs. It's just important that whatever you have here matches what we have here in Houdini. So that's the first parameter I want to introduce you, which is the ComfyUI address. It's also very important that if I had another computer in my network, I can just, put the IP address of that computer and I can just talk with it, which is very cool because I don't need to process all the things in my own computer. I can process things on other computers as well. Next parameter is where you're going to save the image. Right now it's saving where my file is saved. We have the option to add some suffix, some batching. We're going to talk about it later. But the first thing you need to do is to have ComfyUI running. We already installed the model, so we're just going to hit update node definitions. So we have a copy in Houdini of all the different nodes you have installed in your ComfyUI. It shouldn't take long. All right, done. And what that allows you to do is that now if you dive inside the context and hit tab, and you go ComfyUI, now you have the compound graph nodes. Basically, you can see all the different all the different custom nodes and ComfyUI core nodes that are installed in your computer inside of Houdini. So not only we can do that, but we can also find that Shiba Inu image, drag and drop here, and you can see that the setup was generated here in Houdini with some differences. So I'm going to press L on my keyboard just to kind of organize the nodes a little bit here. And we can see the same structure that we had in ComfyUI. My Houdini console triggered because I have a specific toggle here just to kind of give some information about me when things get processed. But on yours, you shouldn't see that console. So here we had a checkpoint. Basically, we can kind of see the different models. And if you add a new model here, you can just press this refresh button, and we're going to refresh the information that's on the folder, and it's going to show up without the need to restart the ComfyUI server. Then we have our text encode prompt. I'm going to color this guy green, because that's our positive prompt. And I also have our negative prompt. And just if you're not familiar with those, the idea here is that one way we can condition AI models to give the images we want is through prompting, and we can condition through positive prompts, and we can also condition through negative prompts. So think about this AI model as a galaxy of opportunities of image generation. And once we type some words, it put us in a specific corner of the galaxy. but we also want to kind of be away from a corner of the galaxy that some maybe has some information that you don't want to hit, maybe text or watermark. We can also add that information here, so we guide better where our ship is going to land. And the ship is guided also by the seed. Here, in this integration, we make sure that the seed is always fixed and deterministic. And you can see that all the parameters for the case sampler are here, but that change of fixed or randomized seed. If you want to randomize your seed, you can just kind of put a $F here, and it should just work. But we're gonna get in detail about that later on. So we have our text encode prompt, positive and negative, our denoiser. Then we have our empty latent image that's going to create and define the size of the image that we're going to generate, the batch size of how many images we want to generate. And then we also have our VAE decode that's grabbing the information from the latent and decoding that back to pixel space. The big difference here is that in ComfyUI, we had the save image node, but here we do have our outputs. Basically, if you have an image, you can just pipe through all the DST here, and that's how we're going to save the image. So let's maybe just change this guy a little bit here, and I'm going to hit compute on the outside. So that sends the job to ComfyUI, and you can see the asset being processed here. You can see on the timeline how it's getting um, cooked. And once the image is done processing, it gets sent back to Houdini, which is very powerful and a very seamless way to interact with these technologies. Um, I also want to show that if you dive inside, you don't see the image. So to overcome that limitation, you go to ComfyUI, and you also have the graph preview. And this will generate different image, a same image with a different name, right? The name is created by this graph preview, and this will allow you to visualize the image within the compound graph. So here I'm just gonna maybe even change the index once again on the seed one more time, generate preview. Again, the job gets sent to ComfyUI. ComfyUI is processing the image generation part. And then once it's done the processing, it sends it back to us. And if we click to preview the image, you can preview it here. Fun. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. Uh, Next video, I'm going to show you, I'm going to go more in detail about all these different parameters and the concepts or foundations of image generation, ComfyUI. So thanks for joining me this time, and see you on the next video.